Hi, I'm Robin Schultz and welcome to the Hoover channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you're always alerted when we have a new video. Thanks.
Yeah, so it's been a great event for us out at the Hoover Met. We've had the event for 5 years now, and we want to renew them for 5 years. They love it here, we love them, and it's really a great partnership. And it's pretty neat to be able to see some of the top 150, 160 baseball prospects coming through Hoover. So really, the terms of the deal have not really changed at all, so business as usual.
Any questions for Mr. Ely? Mr. Ely, you may have heard that we're turfing some fields around town. Will East Coast Pro be able to make utilization of some of those?
Perfect game will be.
Perfect game. Very good.
Yep.
I understand we'll be hearing from them on another agenda item coming up
That should be coming up soon.
next. Very good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Item number 8 is for Chief Bentley. Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Sutphen Corporation for the purchase of fire apparatus. Chief.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. This is just a standard purchase agreement for the city to enter into an agreement with Sutphen Corporation for the purchase of one ladder truck and one engine.
Any questions for the chief on that item? Chief, this is a budgeted item, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, what's the plural of apparatus?
Apparatus?
Okay, very good. Apparata.
Apparatus?
Okay, when I
We can
first saw
say
the agenda, I thought we were.
apparatuses- We can say apparatuses if
Apparatuses?
you would
Okay.
like, but that's more of a Chilton County term than it is.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for Chief? Thank you, sir. Item number 9 on the regular agenda declares a weed and other vegetation nuisance. Mr. Martin.
Yes, sir. We are not out of the season quite yet. This particular location, 3416 Cedar Crest Circle, the grass and weeds on the site are overgrown. As of today, our guys confirm that the property is still in a nuisance-type condition, and so we'd like to move forward with this nuisance declaration. The other two that we had on the list were cut to the satisfaction of code enforcement.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Martin?
Thank you.
The other two, Mr. Martin, I can't see the addresses. Which ones are those that were resolved? Are they in the resolution or have they been removed?
They've been removed.
Okay, so they don't even appear in the resolution.
That's correct.
Very good. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Item number 10 for Mr. Aldaca is an ordinance to provide for an interlocal cooperation agreement between the city and Shelby County.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Aldaca.
This is part of our continuity of operation plan that we have. It gives our fleet the opportunity to relocate to another location in case if there's a disaster or anything like that.
Any questions for Mr. Aldaca? Is this the same thing we did with Jefferson County a few weeks ago?
It's a little different note. This is just for our fleet shop. If our fleet department, for whatever reason, they cannot operate at a PSC, they'll be able to relocate and conduct business at a building in Shelby County.
Okay. Anything else for Mr. Aldaca? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Item 11 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with Ratliff Partners for the purchase of property at 3021 Lorna Road. Mr. Rice.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is the 3-story office building located at the corner of Lorna and Wisteria. Kind of backs up to Taco Bell, McDonald's, and Purple Onion, kind of that stretch of what faces 31. This building was built in 1990. It's about a little under 24,000 square feet in 3 stories, currently occupied by maybe 5 or 6 different individual tenants who have leases. I would say, did you say that when we walked it, it's probably 40% of the building that's occupied at this point in time? I think it's a little less than half. The final lease times out in June of '25. I think there are 2 of them that actually time out, and then the others are prior to that. We are in need of expansion space as NCFI continues to have success and grow in terms of their federal operating budget, which is already in place. You all are aware that we're awaiting passage of the congressional budget and that there is already a line item allocation to come directly to the city to provide complete build out to their final 10 classrooms, large auditorium, offices, student services space, et cetera. That would take us up to about 100,000 square feet of the PSC that would be occupied by NCFI at that point. So we have multiple city operations that we would look to relocate. Everything wouldn't be a direct relocation from PSC to this property on Lorna, but there probably would be some space reallocation and some moving that would occur. But we could certainly use the additional 24,000 square feet that this building would provide. We are privy to some inspections information that shows that the building's major mechanical systems and the roof are all in fantastic shape, so we don't see any immediate expenditures from a building system standpoint. Of course, we would have to get in and remodel on the interior to make it usable for the city departments that we would propose to house there. And if we, for some reason, lost the federal allocation, which we really don't see as a strong possibility, but we still have to incrementally expand NCFI in order to keep them here and to allow them to be successful and grow into the operating budget that Congress has already provided to them. So just like we recently added Classroom 7, and then a couple years prior to that, we added Classroom 6, we would continue to work towards an incremental expansion of their footprint. The money from Congress for the build-out would allow us to do that in one comprehensive project and go from where they are now to where they need to be. But regardless, NCFI is growing, and we're trying to continue to accommodate that because of the impact that facility has, not only from an economic development standpoint, but on our nation. And we're proud to be the home of that very unique facility.
Any questions for Mr. Rice?
I have a question, Mr. President.
Mr. Ivor?
Mr. Rice, in the event that we do get the eventual full expansion of the NCFI, would the Lorna Road space be appropriate for relocation of the courts, or are we looking somewhere else for that?
We don't believe that it would probably house the courts in the fashion that they need to be. We do believe the courts would need to relocate from the Public Safety Center. We've had some preliminary planning discussions about that. We don't see it fitting at this particular building, but we will probably have to find another alternative solution for that.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. President,
Mr. Middlebrooks?
did we look at possibly rent options? I know, Meadowbrook or Inverness Park has a lot of office space, I guess. Have we considered the rent option versus the purchase option?
We did. We didn't go look at a specific building to rent, but we had the kind of philosophical conversation about paying rent. A couple things impact on that. You're right, there is a lot of available Class A space that is a lot higher square footage cost than what this particular building would be, and a lot of that has to do with where they're located and the interior finish of the buildings themselves. So yes, there's a lot of space to go rent, but at this purchase price, candidly, for this square footage facility, we felt like it was a better long-term financial move for the city to go ahead and acquire this. This is a somewhat unique opportunity. If this weren't staring us in the face, we'd probably be looking at a rental situation. But given that this is available on the market, we felt like it was the better move at this time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If my math is correct, the purchase square foot price is $80 a foot. How much are we estimating for reconstruction or build out?
We don't have that budget right now. It's going to be a little bit skewed because of what the market's doing, and there will be a time lag before we can work with existing tenants to hopefully relocate them prior to the end of their current lease. So maybe the market works in our favor during that time period and costs will come down. But we have not put pencil to paper on a complete budget to bring you on reconstruction.
What's, Jihad, I know you keep up with this, what's current construction cost of an office building, Class A office space these days? What would you guess? Just
It's really hard to tell right now, Councilman, but I would say maybe
per square foot.
So yeah, say it's 250. Let's just split the cost here. If we were to double our investment and end up putting $4 million, we're only up to $160 a square foot. Less than half, perhaps.
Right. Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's what you're getting at. And there's a
Yes, sir.
rental cost there to Dr. Middlebrooks' question.
Yes, sir, that's
From a
right.
business decision, you'd have to factor that in as well.
That's
Our
exactly.
all-in cost here could be half of what new construction cost would be.
And if the systems and the roof were not in the shape that they're in, it also would not be an appealing option because we'd be looking at very high per square footage renovation costs. We're really talking about studs and sheetrock and cosmetics on the inside. The building's been incredibly well maintained. And so we have a lot to work with there. We will not have to redo, full HVAC, full electrical, full plumbing. We're in good shape there, and the roof is in good shape.
Yeah, very good. Any other questions for Mr. Rice?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Items 12 and 13 are budget resolutions. Ms. Bolt? We can take those in tandem if you'd like to brief us on those, please.
Okay, so, and I've kind of got my pages out of whack, so I'm not sure which one was first on your agenda, which one was second, but we'll do them together. So one is a budget amendment for $1.3 million, which was the purchase of the land on Montgomery Highway. That was Resolution 6796-22. That is coming out of Capital Projects Fund, which is being funded by the general fund, and it will be a cash purchase out of the general fund. So looking at that, and then I'll go ahead and talk about the next one, which is this property we were just discussing of, and this needs to be, I'm gonna go change this in a minute, but to include the closing costs, which is what the resolution says, the budget amendment needs to be $1,950,000, not 1.9. So we need to be sure, but I'll go change that before the council meeting. So both of those together, we're talking about using the general fund to fund capital projects. So it's basically cash purchase out of our general fund. As I went and looked at, since we haven't closed it out, this month's statements to see exactly where we're at, our last statement I'm looking at is September for what we're closing out the year and what we're gonna have left over that would go into reserve and what kind of cash we're gonna have. So after everything shakes out, I know we've looked at bottom line on financials several times, but after we looked at everything that we've allocated to that, things that we have got to, the money that we allocated for this year to sweep over into Capital Projects Fund, the money that is gonna be unallocated that we can work with is around $9 million out of the general fund. So, any
Questions for Ms. Bolt?
Ms. Bolt, does that include the reappropriated ARPA funds?
That does not include that. And that was something that I need to mention also that I will talk about once we do that. ARPA funds have been, since we've received those funds, that is already in reserve. So when we reallocate those funds for the payroll, as we discussed, that will actually come out of our reserve. Now, that's not the 6-month reserve, but money that's already sitting in reserve. Any questions?
Any other questions? Very good. All right, that brings us to the end of our work session. We will take a 44-minute break and be